everyone, Sabrina here. Yes, I'm alright. The computer downstairs had a major catastrophe, and so we had no computer for a week, which has kind of put me out of the swing of filming things. So I'm back. This is my January wrap-up. I did record a TBR. I don't think that's been posted. I will check that. So this is what I read in January. Not a great month for me. I've started working full-time, which is terrifying and exhausting. And I'm getting a lift in with a work colleague, so I'm no longer on the bus every day, which means my reading time has just kind of vanished. So I'm having to make time to read, which is what I keep telling the students at work. So I'm literally doing what I'm telling them to do. So this is what I've read. Fated by Benedict Jacker. This is the first in the Alex Versus series. Kind of an urban fantasy with lots of supernatural beings and magic in our world, and actually I really enjoyed this. The tone is occasionally a little off in places, but it was very, very entertaining overall. Library of the Dead. This is by T.L. Hutchie. This is an alternative version of our Edinburgh with Roper. Roper is her name, and she can talk to ghosts. She's a ghost talker and basically passes on messages from the dead to the living relatives, and she gets tied up in something really actually quite nasty and gross. This book was in the horror section, which kind of surprised me. I thought this was going to be like a urban fantasy. It is an urban fantasy. My god though, this is grim in places. This is like super gross and deals with like child murder and abuse, and this got really dark, but I loved it. I love the fact that we were thrown in with trying to work out what this world was like, how we got to this point in history, what had happened in the past, and it was really well pulled together. The world building in this is really subtle, but you get it. You pick it all up as you go, and it really pulls together lovely. Highly recommend. Precious Catastrophe by Deirdre Sullivan. This is the sequel to Perfectly Preventable Death. So we're following on from the twins again after the events of the first book. Obviously, most of this book is dealing with trauma regarding what happened in the first one, which I can't tell you because of spoilers. But yeah, there's a lot of trauma to deal with in here. And I kind of thought it ended about halfway through, but then it kept going. So I was a little bit thrown for probably about a third of this book, but it's really satisfying. It's just one of those reads where it swallows you up. The writing is beautiful, just the description of people and places and situations, and the way it deals with family, I really, really loved. In an Absent Dream by Shauna Maguire, and Come Tumbling Down, also by Shauna Maguire. These are book 4 and 5 in the Wayward Children series. The Wayward Children are basically, think Alice in Wonderland in our current time period, and what happens to these kids when they're kicked back out of their worlds or their doors don't open up for them. These two stories follow two very different characters that we have previously met. I have to admit, I really liked Come Tumbling Down because it dealt with Jack and Jill, and Jack and Jill were two of my favourite characters in Every Heart a Doorway. As always, beautiful, poetic fairy tale with a macabre twist. I started reading Jade City by Fonda Lee. This is part of my potential reread. Just rereading the rest of the series. I haven't got very far because obviously I wasn't on the bus very often, and this is a big book in my bag. So actually I was taking so much into work, I couldn't fit this in. I had to take a different book. So I have stopped at the moment on page 110, but I will be continuing with this. And for the last week or so, I've been reading A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. I am currently on page 192. The world building in this is very, very heavy. There's a lot to learn and understand about how this world works. It's Fae in our world. I've just met a vampire in here, and there's a lot of like history that's happened, and we've got the Furies, so there's lots to get your head around. But actually I really like it, and I like the characters in here an awful lot. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes, and I recently discovered this is first in a series. Look at the size of these books. I managed to read 5 books in January, which compared to some people that I've been looking at this month, yeah, it's quite low. But as I say, I am getting used to my new work circumstances and having to get into the habit of reading again while dealing with being absolutely shattered when I get home. So there we go. So let me know down below what you read in January. That would be lovely to hear. And look out for hopefully more regular videos from me in the future now that the computer is up and running again. As always, check out the stuff in the description box down below. You'll find links to all my MacGuffins, and you'll find links to other booktubers that I think you should go and check out because algorithms suck. As always, thank you very much for watching and happy reading. Be well.